the bride, joyful in stride, straight to her master to serve and provide all that a man needs to command, a family whose roles he will ultimately plan.
Welcome to The Red Notes. Today's video is about Bloberta and Clay's cursed marriage, the marriage that shouldn't have been. Moral Orel Season 3 is the season that really helps us to unpack a lot of the trauma and horrible things that we see in the previous seasons. The episodes that I will be focusing on for this video are Help and Passing, Season 3, Episodes 7 and 8. These episodes focus on Bloberta and Clay's traumatic past and what created the loveless marriage that defined Orel's upbringing. Their stories aren't just tragic, they're cyclical because they're continuing generational trauma. When Help starts, we see Orel asking Bloberta why did she marry his father? Why did she marry Clay? And she answers why, and then we zoom into a flashback of the past and Bloberta, a young Bloberta, trying to find a husband. In her society, Bloberta is outcast. She is an outcast because she's not married and because she's not like the other girls. All the other girls have rings except for Bloberta. They're all protesting and Miss Sentinel stops Bloberta because she's not like the other girls. She's an unmarried woman, which is just so bad. But Miss Sentinel is also an unmarried woman. But again, Miss Sentinel is above the rest, so she does not count. Even in Bloberta's family, she's made to feel as though she does not belong. When she gets back home, Bloberta's family are singing,
"Here comes the bride, joyful in stride, straight to her master."
And Bloberta tries to join in, but as soon as her mother hears her voice, she tells her to stop because they don't need another soprano. This is absolutely ridiculous. Bloberta is made to feel as though she does not have a place even in her own family, because her older sister already has the spot that Bloberta could possibly fill up. Bloberta is made to feel as though she is a replacement, and mind you, she's not even the replacement because her sister is well enough. This, I think, is a classic case of the middle child syndrome, where you're not quite the oldest and you're not quite the last. So you're made to feel as though you don't really matter, and Bloberta definitely is made to feel like she does not matter in this family. Bloberta's mother is clearly abusive / the matriarch of the house. Bloberta's father is a clear alcoholic who gets through his day by drinking. Bloberta's mother makes Bloberta feel as though she is a disturbance because she is taken away from their precious time, their precious family bonding that does not involve Bloberta. When Bloberta's father tries to speak up for Bloberta, he is quickly shushed by the mother. It's clear that Bloberta's father is a victim of domestic abuse. Bloberta's father is told to quickly shut up just by a look, and he looks panicked. He's scared. Again, definitely a victim of domestic abuse. Bloberta's mother tells Bloberta to be useful and go clean up her room. Truthfully, Bloberta does need to clean up her room. It's quite messy, but we get a sad tune as Bloberta is clearly alienated from her family. And Bloberta herself has become an alcoholic, just like her father. Bloberta's father comes to talk to her, and he says, maybe you could need some me not to shut up. This is kind of sad. Anyways, while he's still drinking a cup of alcohol, Bloberta then spills out her heart and says that she felt left out. Bloberta's father assures her that she is in fact being left out of the family. He asserts that he tried to talk to Bloberta's mother, but she wouldn't even let him get a word in. Bloberta assures her father that she appreciates him for trying to try. Bloberta then tells her father that she loves him. But rather than Bloberta's father relaying that "I love you too," he doesn't even acknowledge it. He tells himself maybe it's time for me to go back and shut up. He chugs a cup of alcohol and leaves the room. Bloberta then pulls out the flask of alcohol from under her bed again and starts to drink. We then get a scene of one of Bloberta's peers' wedding, with Bloberta's family performing while she is left to sit in the crowd, watching them, the perfect idealized family, while she is the brunt. The church is filled with couples, and since Bloberta lacks affection, she sits down alone and sad. She then sees Clay and approaches him after the wedding. Bloberta asks Clay whether he was a friend of the bride or the groom, and he asserts that he was coming for a normal service, but he got caught up in the wedding and just decided to stay. Clay is clearly not too interested in the prospect of wedding, while Bloberta has her eyes on the prize, aka a ring from Clay. Bloberta asks Clay to the reception with her. At the wedding reception, there is a bar, and Bloberta and Clay go to the bartender to get drinks. Rather than asking for alcohol, Clay asks for apple juice, which leaves Bloberta flabbergasted. Bloberta does not like the taste of apple juice, but she sucks it up because Clay likes it. Bloberta asks Clay about his family, and he says that he does not have parents. His parents are long gone and long dead, and he is an only child. The conversation was clearly awkward. Bloberta asks Clay why he does not drink, and Clay says drinking is a sin. But eventually, Bloberta and him have a conversation, and she convinces him that Jesus drinks, my father drinks, so there's nothing wrong with drinking. So Clay is convinced, and they order drinks. Clay starts to drink. Clay drinks a lot. Clay is clearly becoming an alcoholic. Clay has loosened up, and we truly see a glimpse of Clay's aggression and the start of his alcoholism. Clay and Bloberta finally start to get romantic, and Clay asserts that Bloberta helped him out of his shell. Bloberta then becomes so fixated on the word help, because all Bloberta has ever wanted to do or be is helpful. Bloberta asks Clay to dance with her, and she continues to hint at the prospect of marriage. And Clay again is not so interested. He doesn't care for marriage, he doesn't care for weddings, and he asserts that he prefers to sit alone at home reading the Bible and waiting for heaven. Bloberta says that now that she's helped Clay, maybe he should change his tune on marriage. Clay is barely interested in Bloberta, and she is offended. Mind you, they just met. Truth be told, forcing someone to marry you is a sure guarantee to having a loveless and sad marriage. After seeing the shenanigans of drunk Clay and basically what she's signing up for, Bloberta takes the role of being the cleaner. When Bloberta goes back to the bartender asks Bloberta for what she wants to drink, and Bloberta yells, "I don't drink," as she gets to cleaning. Her job, the way to feel helpful. It seems that Clay has taken up the role of drinking for the both of them. Bloberta continuously calls Clay filth, and eventually she's fed up and punches him. I mean, one day in, and Clay is already an alcoholic. Clay wakes up to Bloberta helping him wipe his wound. She tells him that he fell down and that the reception is over. Clay tells Bloberta that she's been so good to him and he does not know how to thank her. Bloberta says that, okay, if he's so thankful, then he should marry her. Bloberta asserts that since they've met, all she's done was to help him tremendously. Clay asserts that it has been a lot of helping, and they barely even know each other. Bloberta gets angry, but they eventually reconcile. Bloberta again asserts that Clay needs her around to help. Clay hates pain, and Bloberta can help ease it. Clay then proposes. They get married, and it's clear that Clay is not happy and almost feels forced to marry. Clay pulls out a flask of alcohol at the wedding and drinks. And Bloberta pulled out a spray cleaner to help him clean the mess after drinking. We then zoom back to the present, and Bloberta answers the question that Orel had asked her, "Why did you marry my father?" She finishes her sentence with, "Why not?" In the credits, we see Bloberta's wedding reception and how she basically had to do everything herself, from cutting the cake to sharing a glass of wine. I mean, Clay even gets arrested and Bloberta cries, because this is not the wedding/marriage she signed up for. Truly the start of a loveless marriage and adultery. While Bloberta's desperation for validation leads her to force Clay into marriage, Clay's own upbringing reveals why he was doomed to fail as a husband and a father from the start.
So, tell me about your family.
Don't have one. Only child. My parents are dead.
In this episode, Clay and Orel are talking about guns and tradition. Clay hands Orel old gunny, a gun that was passed down from generations of puppeting men till now. We get a flashback to Clay's childhood, as Clay's father hands old gunny to young Clay while telling him not to tell his mother. Clay's father is frustrated at Clay for being so against holding the gun. Clay is a staunchly Christian boy who believes in the lost commandment, something his father cringes at. When Clay's father leaves the room, Clay decides that he must in fact man up. He grabs the gun and sees some bullets. We then cut to Clay's parents and his mom preparing and calling Clay for dinner. Clay's father tries to show some affection towards Clay's mother, but she pushes him away and Clay's father is unhappy. When Clay shows up, his mother automatically lights up and cherishes him, something that she does not do for Clay's father. Clay's father is unimpressed and asserts that he only had Clay for 5 minutes, insinuating that Clay's mother is doing the most. Clay's mother gets angry and tells Clay's father to never take the Lord's name in vain. It is clear that Clay's father is much less religious than Clay and his mother. Clay lets his mother know about Old Gunny and his father handing him the gun. Clay's mother screams, and Clay's father is worried about Clay's mother's heart. Clay's mother is extremely frustrated that Clay's father would let Clay hold a gun because he is her precious only ever. Clay's father asserts that the gun wasn't loaded, but in saying loaded, Clay's mother believes that he is saying dead and becomes even more frustrated. Clay's father tries to calm down Clay's mother, and eventually the confrontation calms down. And Clay's mother calls Clay her baby, which is pretty normal, but when Clay's father asks about Clay's age, she answers in months, saying that he is 147 months old rather than saying he is simply 12 years old. Clay's mother says that she counts every second with every beat of her heart, showing that she is extremely attached to Clay in an unnatural and problematic way. When Clay is done with his food, Clay's mother hands Clay's father Clay's leftovers. He then opts to go eat in the den. Clay's father misses his old life with just him and Clay's mother. He particularly dislikes Clay's and his mother's overfixation on Clay. While looking at Clay's picture book, Clay's mother repeats, "My precious only ever," really honing in on the overfixation on Clay. They look at a photo from 3 weeks prior like it's a baby picture. Clay wants to relook at the book. He wants to start from the beginning. Clay's mother is uncomfortable with that idea and says that some of the pictures in the beginning of the book are from before Clay was born. Clay is at first uninterested because he thought that there were only pictures of his parents, but when his mother utters that there were others, Clay is interested. Clay asks if the others are dead, and again Clay's mother gasps, saying that dead is a bad word and instead it's better to use passing. Clay really wants to see who passed, and Clay's mother allows him to see the pictures. Clay sees a bunch of pictures of his mother pregnant, and he thinks that it's him. Then he is let to know that these were others, his older siblings who passed away. Clay is confused because he thought that he was her precious only ever. Clay's mother asserts that that is true because Clay's older siblings never made it to conception. Clay finds out that he had 10 past siblings, and he is instantly confused. One thing that confuses me is the constant smoking. Clay's mother always has a cigarette in her hand. Clay looks traumatized, and Clay believes that he is no longer special. Clay's mother asserts that no, he is special because his 10 past siblings passed, and she was their vessel to heaven. Clay's mother said that she had prayed so much during his pregnancy and that she had forgotten to do so many other things that could have possibly induced the loss of kids, the miscarriages. But a story for another day. Clay's mother says that Clay is a miracle. He is a miracle child, but honestly, I think it's a matter of not infertility and not being able to conceive, but instead of her negligence and smoking. Clay gets frustrated and he walks out. He's upset. He found out that he's not his mother's precious only ever. Instead, he's her precious only living ever. Clay's mother cries, and then we move to a scene where Clay's father discovers Clay dead. Clay's mother rushes in, believing that Clay is dead. There's a lot of shouting, a shouting match between Clay's mother and father. Clay's mother then starts to pray to God to take her instead and save Clay, because in this world there are only evil or miracles and no mistakes. After seeing the bottle of ketchup half empty, Clay's father realizes that Clay was faking his death and forces Clay to open his eyes. When he does, Clay's mother is so happy, and she calls Clay her precious only living ever again. Clay's mother is happy and says that it must have been a miracle, but Clay's father is confused because he knows that Clay just pulled a ridiculous prank. Clay's father utters that there are no miracles, while Clay's mother continuously says that God has passed it to her while Clay is egging it on. And Clay's father is just confused and trying to reason with the madness. Clay's mother then says that she is going to the Lord and passes away. Clay tries to go to his mother, but is instantly pushed away by his father, who gives him a death stare. Clay is scared. The ambulance comes to take Clay's mother away, and they say that she was in heaven before they even got there, while Clay's father utters that there is no heaven. Clay tries to hug his father, but is instead pushed away. Clay's father raises his hand to hit Clay, but instead he utters that Clay is not even worth being beat. Clay internalizes being told that he is not worth it. We then cut to a quiet dinner scene between Clay and his father. They are sitting apart. Clay's father says at least he doesn't have to eat Clay's leftovers, and just kind of crazy. Usually it's like the children eating the parents' leftovers or something. Clay torments his father and acts bad in order to get his father's attention and asks if he is worth it. His father finally gives him a slap, and rather than cry, Clay smiles. At the funeral, everyone says amen except for Clay's father, and Clay tells his father that he should say amen, and his father slaps him again. Clay inches closest to his father, and he is happy that his father slapped him. Clay continuously does things to piss off his father so he could get slaps, because that is affection and love. Traumatic. We then head back to the study with Old Gunny, where Clay's father hands the gun to Clay and says that rather than continue the tradition, he is ending it, because he does not want the gun in his possession anymore. Lastly, Clay's father says that there will be no coming-of-age hunting trip. He wants to end the tradition, the Cuppington old tradition. Well, cue to the nature episode where, yes, the tradition does in fact tradition. Clay's father says that the gun is tainted with blood because Clay killed his mother with that gun. Clay tries to anger his father, but this time he does not slap Clay. Instead, Clay's father walks away. Clay tells Old Gunny that he should not worry because he'll in fact keep the tradition going. Anyways, we then flash back to Clay and Orel, where Clay takes back Old Gunny from Orel and hands him a different gun. The last scene is quite miserable, with Clay's sad face reflected in a cup of alcohol, something he is clearly drowning in. One thing that has always confused me about Clay is the fact that he always feels the need to whoop Orel. I mean, he thinks that whooping Orel is how he shows affection. And this episode clearly shows why he believes that. Because the only way that he was made to feel that he was worth it by his father was when his father beat him or slapped him. And when his father stopped slapping him, his father did not care about him anymore. He's no longer worth it. So love is being worth getting a beating. That is the lesson that Clay has internalized from his father and the things that he has learned from being around his father. I think a lot of times it's easy to be caught up on the conversation of who's worse, Bloberta or Clay. Who was innately born bad, who was whatever. I mean, one didn't shoot their kid, but if we take away that conversation, we clearly see that both of these people were extremely flawed, from the dynamics with their family to who they eventually became. Both of them seek out affection and love in different ways. Both of them honestly should not have been together or have been married or have even had kids, but they did. And I feel like they continue this cycle of generational trauma that continues to plague their families and their kids. Bloberta isn't just made to feel unloved in her family, she is seen as unnecessary. She is a nuisance to her mother, and her father drowns out the guilt in alcohol. He does not have a voice. And because Bloberta's father is the only person who shows Bloberta an inch of love, she internalizes alcoholism as love and helping someone and loosening them up and showing affection. And she in turn pushes that onto Clay or encourages him to get drunk. I mean, she does not make him an alcoholic, but she gives him that first little tip. Bloberta does not see a partner in Clay. She in turn sees a purpose, something that she's desperate for. She wants to be needed. She does not have a reason for existing. And Clay could provide her with that form, that chance to exist, to help, to be needed, to be wanted.
Well, I get no circulation in my hands.
That's nice.
See? I help. You need me around to help. Help.
On the other hand, Clay's childhood is a masterclass in emotional suffocation. I feel like it's almost psychotic, extremely narcissistic. Clay's mother doesn't just love him, she completely consumes him. Her whole life is Clay. Like, he is the king. Clay is everything that makes her happy, that makes her sad. He is everything to her. He's her precious only ever. She smothers him with love that's so possessive that it's grotesque. But when Clay discovers that, he actually had 10 past siblings, he realizes that he was never special. And he was just the one that lived. He wasn't the only ever. He was only living ever. And is he even precious? I mean, yes, to his mother, but he's not special. And I think that realization haunts him. And it's why he thought, let me prank my mother to make her truly understand that I am precious, that I am special. Very narcissistic, but that is how he was raised. I mean, nurture or nature, nature or nurture. If we are to be absolutely honest, none of these characters woke up one day and chose to be messed up. This isn't about bad people do bad things, but broken people do broken things. It's literally about broken people who never got the tool to be anything else. The cracks in the mirror go so far back that by the time that we meet these people, they're just going through the motions of the damage that has been done to them for decades, or that they have even done for decades. The whole Old Gunny moment is not just about hunting, it's Clay's father voicing his accusation and almost hatred for his son because he murdered his mother and he stole the only good thing in the house, the only thing that he actually loved. Clay's father sees Clay as competition, which I find to be problematic. Clay's father treats Clay like he's a nuisance. I get it. You don't like that your wife is all over your son and only cares about him. But your son is still your son, and he is not your competition. He is a child. No matter how narcissistic Clay may have been, he is still a child. And then when she literally dies, rather than understanding, my wife really kind of messed things up with how we raised him, we messed up how we raised him, he instead chooses to blame Clay for every single thing and the main cause of why his wife died. Which is kind of true, but he's still a kid, and you don't want to tell him that and let him internalize that. Because the truth is, Clay's mother had a heart problem, and she's a compulsive smoker, so health is going to help. Clay's understanding of love is so twisted. I mean, his understanding of care is if they hit you, at least they notice you and at least they love you. If they ignore you, they don't love you. So if I'm not hitting you, it means I don't love you. If you need something, you're weak. And it's really toxic and it's really messed up. Bloberta's childhood is constantly, you're not needed, you don't belong. Her family won't even let her sing because they already have a soprano. That is not just rejection, it's your voice does not matter. And we clearly see how Bloberta's mother treats voices with how she constantly makes her husband shut up. Basically, if your voice is not needed, your only force is subjugated to shutting up, because if you don't shut up, she might domestically abuse you. That's the message that is taught to Bloberta. Her voice does not matter, and that they already have one, so they don't need another. You're unnecessary. You're unwanted. You're the third child. So when Bloberta urges Clay into marriage, it's one of the saddest kinds of victory ever. She feels like she finally wins a husband, but when we look at the wedding photos, it does not even look like a wedding. It doesn't look like love because he's clearly not interested in her. Clay does not love Bloberta. I mean, and it takes Bloberta a long time to realize this because eventually she tries to find affection in other places because Bloberta has kind of a warped understanding of what love is, and Clay doesn't want to care about what love is. He only cares about what he can get. Her wedding night is supposed to be fun, but Bloberta is forced to cut her own cake herself. While they're supposed to be dancing together, he's off with another woman. While they're saying their vows, he's drinking. When they're going off to their honeymoon, he gets arrested for possibly cursing or being drunk while driving, and Bloberta is left crying on her wedding day/night. But the funny thing is that Bloberta most likely still thinks that this is better than being alone, because in Moralton, a miserable marriage is much better than a solitary existence. I mean, we see this in the Numb episode that I made. Please go check out that video too, about how all the women who are unmarried are kind of forced into this spinster apartment, and that is supposedly more miserable than being in a miserable marriage where there's no love, there's no care, and there's a lot of abuse. To Bloberta and a lot of people in Moralton, it's better to suffer together because at least the person still has to see you and it's acknowledging your existence versus leaving the marriage. What I think makes these episodes, or even Moral Orel, very tragic is the fact that a lot of these people are not necessarily horrible people. It's the society that they've been conditioned to live in. It's the values that they've been taught since they were a kid. And it's the trauma that they've been passed down or has been passed down to them for generations on end. The truth is, Bloberta, Clay, a lot of these people in these towns, they probably don't even know better. They don't know better. The women are often forced to just suck up things and be useful because being a housewife is a much better profession than being a spinster. And the men, for example, Clay, withhold affection because affection can be weaponized against him. And his affection is beating his kids and tormenting his family.
It looks like a pistol.
It's not just a pistol, my young man. It's a lucky pistol and your birthright. Why, old Gunny here used to be my father's, and then mine.
For years, it's been a grand Puppington tradition that the head of the household would hand off old Gunny to his firstborn son.
Both episodes start and involve Orel asking or being around the other parent or the parent. And I think it really shows about how cycles start and generational trauma and stuff like that. Orel and Shapey sadly are the product of dysfunction and trauma and a loveless marriage. And Clay and Bloberta are also products of that, and maybe everyone else in Moralton. But I think what these two episodes really show us is that abuse isn't just personal. It's often, mostly, if not 90% of the time, systematic. Your father beats you, so you beat your kid, and your kid ends up beating their kid. Your father cheats, so you cheat, and your son also cheats, or your daughter also cheats. Your mother is an alcoholic, so you're an alcoholic, and your son is also an alcoholic, or your daughter is an alcoholic. This show cuts deep because it shows how trauma spreads like a virus. It's not some dramatic evil, but it's something that spreads even through quiet, even through solace, even through daily compromises that we make. We pass it down not because we're evil or because we know. Sometimes it's just we don't know, and it's subconscious, unconscious. A lot of times, unhealed pain finds a way to leak out no matter how much we try to conceal it and control it. Because when you don't seek out help, you don't know what part of you needs help and how to help yourself get better. If you stay silent, then there's no way for you to express the emotions and the trauma that you've been through. And of course, no one should feel coerced or forced to come out and just expose all their trauma, but it's important to provide people with the safe space to be able to come out when they feel like it's time to come out. Sometimes we have to understand and look back. I mean, even at times we might do little things and we don't realize that these little things manifest to a big thing. Sometimes we repeat toxic family mantra. Sometimes we repeat toxic cycles without even knowing because it's just so tough. For example, one might be fine with a toxic partner because, oh, my mother had a toxic partner and she still raised me fine. I'm fine. I don't need help. And you end up being with a toxic partner. And again, you're repeating that cycle unconsciously and you don't even know that you're repeating a cycle at times. And sometimes like we mistake love for control. Someone is being physically and emotionally possessive of us. And we think that that is love because they're obsessed with us and they care about us, but that care is toxic. It's not care, it's possession. And it's not love, it's abuse. I think these episodes just tell us that sometimes we have to look back and really think about our childhood and what we have been through in order to properly understand where we should start and where is the next step for us to seek help. Maybe your family doesn't have a history of one parent beating the other or being directly abusive to the other, but there are other patterns that we should recognize. For example, a friend or particularly you date emotionally unavailable people because your dad or your mother was emotionally unavailable, or your aunt dismisses you or your uncle dismisses you when you tell them that your marriage is going horribly and they simply just tell you marriage is hard work, you have to deal with it. Or you go to your dad or your mom about some type of uncomfortability that you feel with your partner, and rather than them telling you, oh, we support you, they tell you you have to suck it up for the kids, for the family. I think these things are just things that we've been conditioned to accept, and understanding that these things are not normal and that it's not okay is the first way forward. And understanding that just because these things have been done forever does not mean that they can't be undone. It's really hard to break those cycles. At the end of the day, Moral Orel or these episodes are not asking us to forgive these characters. It's simply asking us to understand them. Simply put, hurt people hurt people. Bloberta and Clay aren't monsters. I feel like they're warnings. They're living proof of when pain goes untreated and when love gets twisted into control, and when family tradition simply means we've always done it this way, so why change it now, even if it's ruining and destroying the family. Lastly, breaking the cycle isn't about being a hero. It's about being brave enough to want more. Thank you for watching.